同学们好.
老师好。
Wonderful to hear everybody's voices. So welcome. This is our last class of this round of Young Family Tai Chi Chuan Traditional Form Section 1. It is Monday, the 2nd of May, the day after May Day. So this is our review class. I will be focusing on footwork. But let us begin with our standing practice. I am going to probably spend about 5 minutes in the practice, so feel free to take a break, drop your arms halfway through, stretch, stop, sit down, whatever you feel is comfortable. But I wanted to review things we've been talking about with our standing practice. So let us begin. Everybody understands the stance. So we have our knees bent, arms in a rounded circle in front of us, fingertips about fist width apart. So we'll start with our posture checks. So first, feel your head pushing up, light, going upwards. Feel everything hanging down from your neck on down. So number 2, check that your shoulders are sinking. Your elbows are dropping. Number 3, check that your chest is absorbed and your back is slightly rounded. And do that by pulling out the elbows. So your elbows pull on the shoulders, shoulders pull on the spine. And actually complete the circle. So your fingertips pull on the palms, palms pull on the forearms, forearms pull on the elbows. So your arms are like this part of a balloon. And now feel your waist relaxed. That means dropping your hips straight down so that your lower back elongates, pointing straight down, and you feel opening and extension in your lower back. See if you have weight over the bubbling well. So roughly equal weight distribution between the balls of your feet and the heels, so that you can't easily lift either your balls or the heels. And feel crotch rounded, so your toes are, your knees are pointing in the same direction as your toes. And feel that you're stacked. So feel that your head, your crown of your head is stacked over your perineum, which is the center of your pelvis, which is stacked over the bubbling wells. So that's the stacking position. And now feel what your breath is doing. Breathe in smoothly and evenly through the nose and out again, and see how your abdomen is moving. The purpose of standing practice, the thing that it helps us to train 3 things. It helps us to train our posture, those 4 checks that we always do, and we use them in the form, throughout the form, whether we do the hand form or the weapons or push hands, where we always want to have our posture good. And then it helps us to practice abdominal breathing. And the abdominal breathing is a way for us to sink our weight down. So in Chinese, when we say sink the qi to the dantian, Master Yongjin says that's breathing with your abdomen. And abdominal breathing will be a check for your posture. Adjust your posture and see whether your breathing becomes more stiff or more even or more free, and use that to improve your posture. And the last thing that we train this way is we try to calm our mind. We want to have a calm mind while the body moves in the form, but here we can train it while the body isn't moving. Actually, the bigger picture is that this practice helps us to relax. Feng Song in the Chinese is my bad pronunciation, which really means to open and extend. And the reason why we want to open and extend the joints and the tendons, the gaps between them, is so that our body can become soft. Soft but not limp and not stiff either. But when we're soft, we have a springy feeling and we can be more agile. We can adjust more easily. Practicing to relax has a second purpose, and it helps us to sink down. It helps us to sink the qi to the dantian. We say that in Tai Chi Chuan, we want the upper body light, the middle body agile, and the lower body heavy. And as we relax, we practice making the lower heavy. And we do that by opening and extending. Not too much, and if you want to check whether you're open too much, if you're too extended, you'll be stiff and your breathing will stiffen. And again, your breathing will help you adjust your posture. It'll help you adjust how you relax and train your body. And so in the last 20 seconds, I'll stop talking. Just follow your breath and observe your posture. And release. And probably if you're like me, your mind went all over the place when that voice stopped talking. The distractions are always there. So that's our standing practice. Today we are going to do some review. Rita is in fact starting the first section again next week. So that's another way of doing review, is learning it again, which we all keep doing. So let us actually practice the form together. I will just call the movements since we've learned the form. I'll call the movements and we'll just practice it together. So let us begin in prepare. Feet shoulder width apart, legs straight but not locked. And do the checks that we do when we do standing practice. Opening. Grass bird's tail, ward off left. Ward off right. Roll back. Press. Push. Single whip. Raise hands, step forward. White crane spreads its wings. Left brush knee. Hand strum lute. Left brush knee. Right brush knee. Left brush knee. Hand strum lute. Left brush knee. Step forward, parry, block, and punch. Apparent closing up. Cross hands. Closing. Original position. And stop. So before I open the floor for questions, if anybody has questions about any movement, anything we've done over the last 17 classes, let's just review closing, which is, we always review the movement we did last week. Last week we had Nancy, but the class before we did closing. So let's just review closing so that you hear it twice. So with closing, and I'm obviously facing you here, we start with the arms crossed. One is we start straightening our legs and the arms come forward out of the cross shape. So they come, as the legs straighten, the arms come forward. They come forward before they are completely shoulder width apart. We circle them and turn them palm down. Now the palms are shoulder width apart. Then we press down to the front of the hips, so the hands end up in the same place when we do opening. And when we return to original position, we just bring the hands down here, put them by the side again. And so the thing to bear in mind is, as we open, it's one movement. We do a little circle at the end to go to the arms shoulder width apart, and then press down, and then pause before we finish with the hands in front of the hips. Okay. Let us now turn to our review. So I'm going to focus on footwork in this review, and we'll see how far we go. We'll do footwork. I'll pause again for questions. We'll do the whole form together, but just focusing on the footwork. And then if we have time, we'll start working on individual movements too. So the background, this is review. So you will have heard me say this at the beginning. When we think about the progression of learning in Taiji Chuan, there are 3 stages that Master Youngjun talks about. It's understand the reason, know your body, and then develop the ability to apply what you've learned in a martial art situation. So here we're really concentrating on knowing your body. That's what I talk about, the reasons as much as I can. I give a little bit of theory, but we're learning about our bodies. And when we think about what we're learning, we divide it into 5 parts. So when you hear a teacher going through the form, you'll very often discern, and sometimes they may explicitly talk about these 5 things. One is footwork, second is the body, third is fundamental practice methods like using the waist or being relaxed. Fourth is the arm movements, and the fifth is the gaze or the spirit. And so I'm going to focus today on the footwork and I'll talk a little bit about the body as well. And the reason for that is, the first section, you'll probably learn 60 to 70% of what you're going to learn in the entire form, and it is the foundation for the form. So footwork. So footwork actually comes in 3 parts: the stance, the moving, and the rooting. So let's talk about stances. You can follow along or just watch. We talked about bow stance. So for bow stance and for all the other stances, there are 3 things that are common for all the stances. Then each of the stances has 3 things which are different. So for the bow stance and all the other stances, the first thing is that the feet are either pointing in a straight direction or at 45 degrees. So and sometimes they're both pointing in the straight direction. But in the bow stance, we have one to the corner and one to straight. The second thing is weight over the bubbling well. We always try to have weight over the bubbling well. And the third is to keep our crotch rounded. And crotch rounded means making sure that our knees and our toes are in a line. Once we've done that, there are three more things. And so when we talk about the bow stance, I'll start this direction. The first is the length, where we put our feet. The second is the shape of our legs. And the third is the weight distribution. So with the bow stance, the width is shoulder width. The length forward back is as far as you can go and come back easily. So that's the length. Now, just to review shoulder width apart. Shoulder width is the width of the outside of your shoulders should match the outside of your feet. So for me, what I've done is I've had Susan measure me, and I'm actually 18 inches across from side to side to the shoulders, which means actually it's 18 inches. So this is 18 inches, the width of my feet. The center of my feet, which is the second toe, in fact, is 14 inches apart. And that's these blue lines. It'll be different for you. But if you want to quickly check that your feet are shoulder width apart, do this check. So put your thumbs together and have your pinky fingers out. And if you put your fingers down and your pinky touches your second toe, you're approximately in shoulders width apart. So that's a quick way to check. Another way, a way to get into that is when you step into a bow stance. So let's say I step into a bow stance here. How do I check whether my bow stance is the right width? I take my back foot and I pivot on the heel. Point it so both feet are pointing straight. Bring my back foot forward, and then I check the width. And you can see actually my stance is too narrow. Now, the one thing that I would just caution you is that for some reason, and I don't know why this is, we tend to cheat. When somebody says, rotate your back foot to straight, we often pivot on the ball of the foot. So we actually pivot this way. And when I then bring my foot forward in a straight line, you can see it's actually wider than it would otherwise be. So remember to pivot on the heel because we're measuring the distance between the heels. Okay, so the first thing with the bow stance is the length and the width. We've talked about that. The second is the shape of the legs. The front leg is bent. The shin is tilted forward slightly, but your knee shouldn't be over your toes. It's very easy to actually be forward too much. So make sure your knee is not over your toe. From up here, if you can see your toes, you're good. The back leg is straight but not locked. So don't lock your back leg, keep it slightly relaxed. And then the third thing is the weight distribution. When we're in this forward bow stance, 60% on the front, 40% on the back. When we're in the back, so for example, when we do press, when we're at the back, we're actually 30% on the front, 70% on the back. So it's 60-40, 30-70. So those are the requirements for the bow stance. I said I was going to talk about the body, so let me talk about the body briefly, the body posture. So when we're in the forward bow stance, so for example, let's say we've done press or we've done ward off, or we've done a parry, block, and punch. We want the torso to be in line with the back leg. And so you can look down the side of your body and sort of check in your mind if you're sort of got a straight line between your shoulder, your hip, and your ankle. So that's when we're in this forward stance. When we're back, so let's say we've done press and we're going to go into push from here, we also keep our torso folded forward slightly. It doesn't have to be as much, but be very careful. There's a tendency to actually come back when we come back from, let's say, we've done press and we come into push. There's a tendency to lean back. Don't lean back. There are three bow stances. So we've done the forward, we've done the back, and then there's the upright one. So that's the one we do in single whip. So for single whip, the weight distribution is still 60-40, front and back, but here our torso is vertical. This is also the posture that we use for ward off left. So the posture is vertical. The weight, what I want you to check is that your hips are level. So when we're in this posture, the back hip is up slightly. When you bring your torso up, drop your back hip so that your hips are level, and your hips are actually open a bit more to the corner. So that's single whip or ward off left. The waist distribution is the standard, 60 front, 40 in the back. So that's your bow stance. Let's talk about the empty stances. So the three things for the empty stance, that is the common between empty stance, bow stance, all of them. Firstly is one to the straight, one to the corner. That's true for the empty stance too. Bubbling well. The back leg, the weight is over the bubbling well. Now with the front foot, you're pressing on the ball or the heel, so you don't have bubbling well on the front foot, but make sure that you have bubbling well on the back foot. Sink your hip should be over your back leg, over the rear bubbling well. Make sure that you have crotch rounded. It's very easy for us to relax our front knee in. It's also often quite tempting, and I don't want to do this with weight on it, to bring the back knee in. So keep the crotch rounded. The weight distribution, I think answer in your mind, what's the weight distribution? Well, it's 70% on the back, 30% on the front. What's the shape of the legs? So the front leg is straight but not locked, whether it's in the heel touch or the ball touch. The back leg is sinking down as low as you can comfortably go. It's no problem for your knee to be further than over your toe, or even beyond your toe. That, don't put your knee behind your toe, over your toe, is only for the bow stance. For the empty stance, it's fine. And then in terms of your body shape, you want to be folded forward slightly at the torso, like this. One thing that I forgot to say with the bow stance, remember I talked about tilting the torso forward. The other thing is aligning your hips left and right. So even if you have everything right about the weight and the foot angle and all those kinds of things, make sure that your tailbone is centered between your heels. So my tailbone should be over this yellow line. It's very easy for us, and I'm exaggerating, to be like this, so that our hip juts out to the side this way. Actually, sometimes, for example, if we're doing rollback, it's easy for us to have the hip go too much the other way. So try and always make sure that your hip is centered between your feet. So those are the stances. Before I go on and talk about moving, are there any questions? Okay, so let's quickly review moving from one stance to another. So when we move, we are going to change our feet. If we open our toes less than 90 degrees, we shift our weight back slightly and open the toe. So if we're going to go from a left bow stance to a right bow stance, shift weight back slightly, open the left toe to 45 degrees, move the weight forward, move the weight in the direction of the bubbling well, so in the direction of the toe, bring the foot through and step. When we actually turn the front foot through more than 90 degrees, we shift our weight all the way back. So for example, if we're going to do single whip and we're going to turn our back foot through 135 degrees, we shift our weight all the way back, and then that frees up the back foot to step. With empty stances, the same applies. So let's say I want to go from one empty stance to another empty stance. Let's say I want to turn through 45 degrees. I've got a ball touch. I pick it up, put down the heel, shift my weight, step through, ball touch. If I'm on the heel, I can just pivot on the heel and step through into another empty stance. I can change from one stance to another. So, and this is what we did, for example, in left brush knee to handstrom loop. So I'm in a bow stance. I want to go to an empty stance. To do that, I bring my back foot in so that it's center line to side. I'm going to shift. I'm going to end up with a heel touch, push back with the ball and land with the heel. I'll do that from this direction. Shift weight forward, bring the back foot in, center line to sides, which is what you need for an empty stance. I'm going to land on the heel. So push with the ball and land on the heel. I can, once I'm in this stance, so for example, I've done handstrom loop, I want to go back to left brush knee. What I do is I just step wider. So I'm going from center line to side to shoulder width apart, step wider. We've done the movement from, let's say, bow stance to bow stance, like this, right? We can also do an intermediate step, which is what we did when we did parry, block, and punch. So if I have an intermediate step, I want to step center line to sides. So shift back my weight, open the back toe, transition step, center line to side, that foot to the corner. As I move my weight, make sure my knee goes in the toe direction, step through, step shoulder width apart. Then to remind you, as you do these transitions, there are three things to remember. One is that when we move, imagine that you're walking on ice. So don't galump your feet down, touch. Is the ice going to take my weight? Yes, and then move your weight forward. The second thing is we don't actually, don't lift the feet too high or drag them. So if you're moving forward, don't drag your back foot. And also when you step through, don't lift it too high. The image that we use is you're walking through mud and you're lifting your foot just enough to get it out of the mud. The last thing, so we talked about footwork, we talked about moving, is rooting. And so rooting is the relationship between your legs. So the one is the push and support. So if, let's say I'm in a bow stance, I've got 60% on the front, 40% on the back. I'm pushing backwards with my front leg and I'm pushing forwards with my back leg. I need both my feet to have grip on the ground, which is why we talk about bubbling well. Likewise, when I'm in an empty stance, the reason why I want to have 30% on the front foot is so that there is enough friction that it can push back into the back foot. And then likewise, I'm pushing forward with the back leg and the 30% in the front is resisting it. So I have push and support front and back. The other part is what we call central settle down. So as you move your weight forward, you have to stop yourself. And so if I'm starting here, so let's say I've done press, I'm doing push, I'm going to push out, and it helps to do it quickly. If I push out and I stop, you'll feel, and I'll exaggerate this, I'm going to push forward, I get here, I push back, comes back a bit, and then this goes forward a bit, and it comes back a bit, and it's like a spring settling. Likewise, if I do it on the other side, I push and I stop myself, you should feel that springy movement settling down. So those are the essentials of Young Family Tai Chi Chuan footwork. So what we're going to do next, I'll first check if somebody has any questions, but is we're actually going to do the form, but we're just going to do the footwork for the whole first section. We're just going to focus on the footwork. So let us practice the first section together. I am going to just do the footwork. I'll actually have my arms out like this because I want to just make some points about body direction. If you want to do the arm movements, by all means do that. But let's go through the whole first section and just concentrate on the footwork. Okay. So we'll start in prepare. So feet shoulder width apart. Look at your feet and check, are they actually shoulder width apart. Are both feet pointing forwards, as forwards as you can? Some of us, at different times, it's difficult for us to get our feet actually pointing towards the front, and that's fine. So imagine we've done opening. So we're here. So we're going to do grass bird's tail. We're going to open the right toe, so shift the weight slightly to the left, open the right toe to the corner. Sink the weight onto the right leg. Now we're going to step out shoulder width, and the left foot is just going to step straight out so that we know it's shoulder width apart. And we're going to go into left ward off, which actually is the torso vertical version of the bow stance, 60-40, but your torso is vertical. Ward off right. So we're going to shift, we're going to pivot on our left heel. So move the weight slightly to the right, pivot the left heel to the corner. Shift your weight onto the left as the chest turns to the left corner. Bring the right foot in and step out again, shoulder width. Move forward into your bow stance. Check your torso. You're actually leaning forward here. Roll back. The first thing we do is we turn the chest to the right corner. Now as the chest comes to the left, we're actually sitting our weight back. So now we're in the backward bow stance. Check. Have a look at your front knee. Is it nice? Is your crotch nice and rounded? Is your left knee pointing in the direction of your left foot? Now we're going to go into press. The first thing we do is we turn the chest to square so we can do a press, then press forward. Again, now the torso is leaning forward. Look down at your toes. Can you see your toes? If you can, then your knee isn't too far forward. Single whip. So we're going to turn the front foot through 135 degrees. So shift your weight all the way back. Now pivot on the back heel, 135 degrees. Sit your weight onto the right foot. Bring the left foot in. Step wide enough into a bow stance. Heel ball toe and body vertical. Again, here the torso is vertical. It's not leaning. It's very easy when we do single whip for us to be forward like this. We want the torso vertical. Raise hands, step forward. We're going to turn the left toe to the corner. So shift weight slightly to the right. Left toe to the corner. Sit all your weight onto the left foot. Bring the right foot in. Heel touch. Raise hands. And in fact, your chest is open to the corner. Now we're going to do white crane. We're going to change our footwork. The right foot is going to pick up and turn through 45 degrees. So pick up the right foot, turn through 45 degrees. Turn your body to squares. Your chest is now square. Pick up the left foot, center line two sides, ball touch. Check that your torso is leaning forward slightly, that you're not back and leaning back, torso forward slightly. Left brush knees. So shift your weight. Actually, we're swinging the arms to the right, so the chest goes to the right. Step out, bow stance width. Shift forward weight, torso in line with the back leg. Handstrom loot. So we're going to adjust. So we're going to bring in the back foot, center line two side. We're going to land on the heel. So push back with the ball of the left foot, pick up the left foot, put it down on the heel. You're doing white crane, so your chest is square to the front. Left brush knee. So the arms swing to the right, chest goes to the right, step bow stance to the left with the left leg. Come forward. Now we're going to do into a right brush knee. Left toe is going to open 45 degrees, so shift weight back slightly, open the left toe. Check that your crotch is rounded, nice and open. Knees are pointing in the direction of the toes, not tilted in. Shift your weight in the direction of the left foot. Step out, bow stance width, shift forward weight. Torso tilted forward, chest square. Right brush knees, shift weight slightly, open the right toe. Check crotch rounded, shift your weight forward, chest goes to the side, step out, bow stance. You're back in left brush knee. Handstrom Lute again. So we're going to bring the back foot in, center line to sides. We're going to land on the heel. So press with the ball, pick up the foot, land with the heel. Another left brush knee. As the weight shifts back, chest opens to the right. Step wider, come forward. You're in. Left brush knee. Now we're getting close to the end. We're going to do the parry, block, and punch. This one has the intermediate step in it. So shift back weight, open the left toe. Now your transition step, center line to sides, right toe to the corner. As you're in this transition, make sure that your crotch is rounded. Shift weight forward, step through into a bow stance, the left leg, and punch. So you're punching forwards, torso leaning forwards. Apparent closing up. So you're going to yield forward, your chest is going slightly to the left. As you sit back, chest goes to the right. Check your feet. Is your back foot to the corner, front foot straight? Is your crotch rounded? Do you have 70% of the weight on the back? Now we're going to do pushing out forwards. So square the chest and push out. Cross hands. We're going to turn the foot through 90 degrees. So sit the weight back almost all the way. Pivot on the left heel. Left foot to straight. Shift onto the left foot. Bring the back foot in. Touch with the toe. So now your feet are parallel. And straighten. And stop. So that is just one way in which you can practice your footwork. You can do any combination. You can, if you want to work on your bow stances, just go bow stance, bow stance, bow stance, bow stance, or single whip or anything like that. Any questions?
I thought you skipped the first push. You went from press.
Ah, yes, you're right. I did. Thank you. Well spotted. Okay, so we have another 10 minutes or so. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start at the end of the first section, and we're going to do a chunk of movements. I'm just going to talk you through each of the movements in detail. We'll do it quite slowly, and then I'll pause and see if going through that prompts any questions for you. If that's good, then we'll just keep moving back and back and back further to the beginning of the form. And we'll see if we get to the beginning of the form before our time runs out. So I'm going to actually, let's see. Yeah, so I'm going to be facing not the direction that you would be to practice this. So we're going to start in left brush knee. We're going to do parry, block, and punch, apparent closing up, cross hands, and closing. So we're in left brush knee. And I'm going to go quite slowly and call out the correction, sort of the key points as we do these movements. Okay, we're in left brush knee, left foot forward, right arm striking out, left hand by the left thigh. Step forward, parry, block, and punch. Shift back your weight slightly, lift the left hand, so the left arm is about 45 degrees. Open the left toe as the left arm closes in front of your body. The left palm and the right palm are sort of either side of your center line, either side of the line through your nose. You're still looking to the side. Now, both arms are going to circle down. Make a fist with the right fist as you step through. When you touch, transition step with the heel, the arms are both to the side. Now you're going to do the second parry as you shift your weight forward. When your arms are out, your right arm is doing the second parry. You've got almost all your weight on the right foot. The left foot has started peeling off. Step through to do the block with the left hand, your shoulder width apart. Left arm is blocking out. The right fist is at the center of the hip. Palm is up. Now shifting your weight forward, punching out. The ending posture here, the right arm is shoulder width, shoulder height. You're punching. The left palm is the left arm, forearm is horizontal. The left palm is at an angle about fist width away from the center of the right forearm. Apparent closing up. Yield forward your weight with a waist turn. The left arm goes to the side, the right fist opens. As you shift your weight back, left arm goes under the right upper arm. Pull the right arm over the left forearm, and this ends with the left arm in a ward-off shape and the right arm in front of your ribs. Now turn the chest square as both palms sit in front of your ribs, palms shoulder width apart. You're still 70% on the back. Now press forward. This is press. Apparent closing up. 1, start shifting your weight back with the shift, pushing back on the legs. Turn the waist. Your shoulders start turning, your palms turn. You're making the triangle with your fingers. Keep moving. Paint a rainbow to the corner. Both palms turn over. When the arms cross, the right toe touches. The left arm is in front. Now just lift the arms up. The right arm will now be in front. Closing. As you straighten the legs, arms straighten forward. When they're at the center, they rotate. Shoulders width apart, press down, and they finish in front of the hips. And stop. We won't do the closing since we're just practicing here. Did that prompt any questions for anybody? Okay, let's do the next section, which is, so we're working our way back. We may well have time at the end to do the whole thing in the right order, but I wanted to make sure that we started with the things we did most recently. So next we're going to do the brush knee sequence, and we're going to start in white crane. So where in white crane spreads its wings, we're on a left empty stance. So your weight is on the right foot, ball touch. You've got your right arm up, left arm down. So we're going to go into a left brush knee, and let's break this down. You remember the 4 count we were talking about. So 1, rotate the right arm and the left arm. So at the end of 1, your right palm is facing you and your left palm is vertical. 2, the right arm circles down, the left arm circles up. They go to the back corner. When they get to the back corner, heel touch, both stance with the left leg. As you start moving your weight forward, flatten the foot. The right arm comes to the front of the shoulder and the left arm goes out. Now, as you complete by pushing forward, the right arm strikes out and the left goes to the side of the leg. The one thing that I want to point out here is that the posture of your left palm, your fingertips are pointing straight forward. It's like imagine you've got headlights in your fingertips. You're actually lighting the way ahead. So we are in left brush, we finished left brush knee. Now we're going to do hand strum lute. Shift forward weight, hand front, right hand goes down a bit, bring the right foot in. Now pushing with the ball of the foot, pull back with the right, make a circling back, the left starts lifting. Heel touch, once you've established the heel, lift with the left hand and pull down with the right. So this movement is an up and down movement. Check your posture. You're in an empty stance, crotch rounded. Your palms are on either side of the line, straight to the front through your nose. Left brush knee. Again, let's look at this 4 count. 1, my left palm turns up. 2, I circle to the side, step out. When the arms are to the back corner, I'm touching with the left heel. Brush with the left arm as the foot flattens, and then keep going, push out. Now we're going to do a right brush knee. Shift forward weights, shift back weight slightly, lift the left arm. Open the left foot, close the left arm in front, so you're still looking to the side. The palms are on either side of your center line. Shift your weight forward, one arm circles down, one arm circles up, back to the corner. That's 3. Brush as the foot flattens, push as the knee bends. Right brush knee. Shift back weight, right arm lifts halfway. Open the toe as the right arm closes in front of the body. As you step through, right arm circles down, left arm circles up, back to the corner, brush, and push. Another handstrom loop, yield forward weight, right arm comes down a little bit, you're pulling back, push back with the left heel. Now as you establish root with the left heel, the left arm comes up and the right arm comes down. And one more left brush knee. So 1, rotate the right palm. 2, arms swing and circle to the side, step out with the left foot. 3, brush arm in front of the right arm in front of the shoulder, push out, and stop. And so from there, we would go into parry, block, and punch. Are there any questions? Okay, so let us actually start from push, and we'll do single whip, raise hands, and white crane. So we've done push, so we're in a right bow stance, right leg forward, both arms pushing out, palms shoulder width apart, back leg straight but not locked. Single whip. 1, sit back your weight, flatten the palms. 2, start pulling with the left arm. Pivot on the back heel. 135 degrees, both arms to the side. Now both arms come back, fingertips to fingertips. Make a hook as you pivot on the left ball of the foot. You're making a hook. The left fingertips are pointing at right forearm center. The left arm is more or less horizontal. Now we're going to step behind us with the left foot. So as you step, bow stance to the left arm lifts to 45 degrees. As the foot flattens, the left hand rotates to the side. As you push forward with the right leg into the left arm straightens. Raise hands, step forwards. Shift weight back slightly. Turn the left toe to the corner. Now this circle is all going to be in the horizontal plane, so arms open. They circle in, heel touch, and then they come towards each other with a waist turn. Your ending posture, and this is the same as the ending posture for handstrom lute, in fact. The tiger's mouth on the left hand is pointing at right forearm center. The hands are either side of the center lines, the line through your nose. And in fact, the palms are tilted, both are tilted in slightly. So they're not vertical and they're not flat. They just tilted in slightly. Right arm is forward, left arm is back. White crane spreads its wings. 1, start pulling down and rotate the palm. So now your left palm is up, right palm is facing down. Big circle to the left. Now you're going to change your footwork on the right foot. Pick up the right foot, put it straight back down, but turn through 45 degrees. Your chest is still to the corner. As you shift your weight onto the right side, chest comes square, lift up the one hand, press down with the other, and you're finishing in an empty stance with a ball touch. That's white crane. Any questions? Okay, and for the grand finale, we will do the first part of it. So we're going to start in prepare, feet shoulder width apart, and we're going to do opening. So rotate and lift the palms up to shoulder height. When you get to shoulder height, bring it down. So rotate at the shoulders first, the upper arm starts coming down, then the elbow, forearm, wrist, and you finish with the palms in front of the hips. Both palms are horizontal. Grassbird's tail, ward off left. We're going to open the right toe, so shift slightly to the left. Open the right toe. The right arm goes back a bit and the left arm goes forward a bit. As you sit your weight onto the right, big circle up with the right, circle under with the left, step out into your bow stance, lift with the left, push down with the right, and look to the side. So your final posture, your left arm is pointing straight to the side, so at right angles to your left leg. The right hand is low, it's by your hip, and the tiger's mouth of the right hand is going to the center of the left forearm. Your torso is vertical and you're looking to the side. Ward off right. So we're going to turn the left toe. So shift the weight slightly to the right, turn the left toe. Your body turns, right hand turns slightly into the center. Now, as you shift your weight to the right, rotate your left hand to grab. The right arm goes nice and rounded, shape open. You're going to close your arms as your right foot steps in and out. Shift your weight forward as you do a ward off right. So check your posture here. Your footwork, you're in a bow stance. I won't talk about that. Your right upper arm should be in line with your right thigh. Your right arm is a nice round circle, protecting about a quarter of your body. Your fingertips are higher than your elbow. The palm of your right hand is at about shoulder height. The left hand is behind, it's about a fist's width behind and below the right hand, fingertips of the left hand pointing at right forearm center. Roll back. So both, as you start moving your waist, both arms rotate at the same time. One smooth rotation from beginning to end. You're at the corner. Now, as you shift your weight back, turn your waist to the left corner, but your hands don't change. They come down a little bit. Check your stance. Do you have nice solid weight on your feet? 70% on the back. Do you have 30% on the front? Check your knees. Are your crotch rounded? Or are you like me when your front knee always tilts in and needs to be reminded to be nice and open? You want to make sure that your body is tilted forward in the direction of your supporting foot. Don't lean forward this way. Lean forward in the direction of your supporting leg. So we've done roll back. Press. As the chest starts turning, rotate both arms. The arm comes in, the right arm comes in, the chest goes into the right arm. So you've closed the space between your arm and your chest. Left palm touches the right forearm center. Now press up. Your right arm is in the same position as it was when you did ward off right. So right palm is about shoulder height. Push. Flatten your palms and turn your chest square. Sit back your weight. The arms come back just before they get to the chest. They go around the ball. You've got 70% on the back. Palms are vertical, shoulder width apart. You're going to push out. So push with the back leg and come forward. And you're in push. So here, let's check our posture. We'll do our posture checks. Is your head up? Do you have your shoulders down, elbows down? Is your chest absorbed? Is your waist relaxed? Is your hip sinking down, in other words? And do you have a nice solid bow stance? And release. 同学们，再见。
再见。
Thank you, everybody. What a delight it's been to spend 18 weeks with you. We will do this again. Thank you so much.